Chosen one, this message has been blocked 3 times in the last 72 hours. Not by YouTube, not by technology, by forces in the unseen realm who do not want you to understand what's really happening with your mouth. Because the second you hear what I'm about to say, their entire operation against you collapses. The Holy Spirit just overrode every barrier to get you here. This wasn't the algorithm. This wasn't chance. This was a divine interception, because you are exactly 40 days away from either the greatest breakthrough of your life or the total destruction of everything you've been praying for. And it all depends on what you do with your mouth in the next 60 seconds. God just said 3 words, not suggested, not recommended, commanded: shut your mouth. And he said it with a tone you've never heard before. Not anger at you, but fury for what's been done to you. Because, chosen one, your words have been hijacked. Every conversation in the past 6 months, every complaint, every announcement, every "I'm fine when you were breaking" has been intercepted, recorded, and weaponized by forces building a psychological timeline of your destruction. They know when you're weakest, when your faith dips, when you're most likely to quit. And, according to their calculations, you were supposed to give up 13 days from now. They've already scheduled the blow, the betrayal, the loss, the coincidence that will make you say, "See, I knew it wouldn't work." But God said, "Not if they go silent." Because here's what the enemy didn't account for. The moment you shut your mouth, you vanish from his radar. Every complaint you don't speak erases a coordinate. Every doubt you don't voice deletes a data point. Every plan you don't announce collapses his timeline. You feel that tightness in your throat right now? That's not anxiety. That's your spirit confirming what I just said. Because deep down, beneath all the noise, you already KNEW, your own words were betraying you. You just didn't know how. Subscribe right now to join thousands of chosen ones learning to operate on frequencies the enemy cannot track. Like this video if your spirit is confirming this word, and comment "silent" to activate the protocol. Your comment isn't just engagement, it's your agreement contract with heaven. This is your last transmission on the enemy's frequency. After this, you either shift to the channel he cannot track, or you stay exactly where you are and watch his 13-day countdown play out like clockwork. Now let me show you exactly what's been happening. Because, chosen one, your mouth isn't just a mouth anymore. It's a GPS beacon. And every word you speak sends out coordinates that something has been tracking across dimensions. You thought you were just venting to your friend, just being honest with your family, just sharing your heart in your prayer group. You weren't. There were other listeners, invisible, recording, analyzing every syllable for patterns they could exploit. Let me break this down into 3 types of signal transmissions you've been broadcasting without even knowing it. 3 ways your mouth has been giving away your exact location to forces hunting you. The first type is complaint signals. Every time you say, "I can't afford this, this always happens to me, I'm so tired of waiting, nobody understands," you're not just expressing frustration. You're broadcasting poverty coordinates, you're transmitting victim frequency, and the enemy has devices that lock onto that signal like a heat-seeking missile. Listen to me carefully. In the Bible, Proverbs 21 verse 23 says, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." Now most people read that as good advice about not gossiping, but in the original Hebrew, the word for keeps is shomer, and shomer isn't a gentle word, it's a military term. It means to guard like a soldier guards a classified base. to watch like a sniper watches enemy territory. Solomon wasn't giving you etiquette tips. He was giving you battlefield strategy, because every time you complain out loud, you're essentially standing up on the battlefield, lighting a flare and screaming, "Here I am, come get me." Your complaints are coordinates, and they've been mapping you for months. The second type of transmission is announcement signals. Every time you tell someone about the business you're starting, the book you're writing, the relationship you're believing for, before God gives you permission to speak it, you're doing something dangerous. You're broadcasting blueprint frequency. Think about it. You announce your plan on Monday. By Friday, 3 things have gone wrong that make it impossible. Coincidence? No. You gave away the intel. The enemy heard the transmission, saw the blueprint, and dispatched interference before you could even start building. There's a reason Ecclesiastes 5 verse 2 says, "Let your words be few," and if you study scripture, you'll see a pattern. Moses went silent for 40 days on the mountain before the 10 Commandments. Jesus went silent for 40 days in the wilderness before his ministry exploded. Esther didn't reveal her identity until the exact right moment. Joseph stayed silent in prison for years before his elevation. The pattern is this: silence during preparation equals authority during manifestation. But speak too soon, you abort the process. You leak the strategy, and the enemy sets up blockades on every road you are about to take. The third type is doubt signals, and this one is the most insidious because it sounds like honesty. It sounds like being real. I don't know if God really called me. Maybe I heard him wrong. What if this doesn't work out? I'm probably not anointed enough. Every time you voice those doubts out loud, you're transmitting instability frequency. And you know what happens? The enemy doesn't even have to attack you. You're attacking yourself. You're giving him permission to agree with the very doubts you're broadcasting. Now here's where it gets even deeper. You might be thinking, okay, I get it. I need to stop complaining and doubting around negative people. I just need to be careful who I tell things to. Wrong. That's what I thought this was about too. For years, spiritual teachers have been saying, guard your circle, don't share your dreams with dream killers, be selective about who you talk to, and that's true to a point. But it's not the full truth. Because here's the revelation that just shattered everything I thought I knew. The problem isn't who you're telling. The problem is that you're speaking it out loud at all. Period. It doesn't matter if you're talking to your best friend who believes in you. It doesn't matter if you're in a prayer group full of intercessors. It doesn't matter if you're alone in your car talking to yourself. The moment sound leaves your mouth, it creates a vibration, a frequency, a signal, and there are entities that can hear those frequencies even when humans can't. Your complaint to your supportive friend still transmits poverty coordinates. Your dream shared with your prayer group still leaks blueprint intel. Your doubt spoken in the privacy of your car still broadcasts instability. Now, I know what you're thinking. So I can never talk about anything? I have to be silent forever? No. Listen carefully. This isn't about forever. This is about the next 40 days. But before I explain the protocol, you need to understand the 7 specific phrases that are killing your destiny right now. 7 sentences that sound innocent, that feel honest, that everyone says, but every single one of them is a transmission code that activates enemy algorithms against your life. And here's what you need to know before we continue. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you're going to walk away with 5 things that will change everything. First, you're going to know the exact 7 phrases you must stop saying immediately and what's happening in the spirit realm every time you speak them. Second, I'm going to give you the complete 40-day silence protocol, the same protocol that transformed a single mother buried in $40,000 of debt into a debt-free decree speaker in less than 90 days. Third, you'll learn the 3-frequency system that lets you communicate with God internally without broadcasting to the enemy. Fourth, I'm going to expose the 7 forms of attack the enemy will launch during your silence and the exact counter-strategy for each one. And fifth, at the end, you're going to receive an activation prayer that seals this protocol into your spirit and commissions you as an invisible warrior operating on frequencies hell cannot track. But if you leave now, you'll walk away knowing something is wrong with your words but not knowing how to fix it. And that's more dangerous than not knowing at all. So stay with me. This gets deeper. The first toxic phrase is this: I can't afford this. Sounds harmless, right? Sounds like you're just stating facts about your bank account. But every time you say those 4 words, here's what's happening in the unseen realm. You're not describing your current reality. You're decreeing your permanent reality. Because in the kingdom, your words don't just report what is, they create what will be. And when you say, I can't afford this, you just activated a poverty algorithm that will ensure you can't afford it, even when money shows up. I've watched this happen 100 times. Someone gets an unexpected check, a gift, a bonus, and within 48 hours, the exact amount disappears into an emergency they didn't see coming. Why? Because they're still broadcasting, I can't afford this frequency, and that frequency attracts lack like a magnet attracts metal. Here's what happens in your body when you say it. Notice next time, your shoulders drop, your chest caves slightly, your throat constricts. That's not just body language, that's your spirit agreeing with a lie and your physical body manifesting the evidence. The second toxic phrase is, this always happens to me. Now, this one feels justified because you've got evidence, right? You've got a track record, pattern of relationships that failed, jobs that didn't work out, opportunities that slipped through your fingers. But here's what you're actually doing when you say this always happens to me. You're not acknowledging a pattern. You're reinforcing a pattern. You're taking isolated incidents and weaving them into a narrative. And that narrative becomes a prophecy that you fulfill over and over again. Think about it like this. Imagine you're in a courtroom and the prosecutor is trying to prove you're guilty of repeated failure. What's his best evidence? Your own testimony. Every time you said this always happens to me, you just handed him another exhibit. Exhibit A. The defendant herself admits she's a repeat failure. Case closed. But here's the wild part. The courtroom isn't in the future. It's happening right now. There's an accuser building a legal case against your destiny, and you keep taking the stand as a witness against yourself. The third toxic phrase, and this one is deadly, what if it doesn't work out? Now this sounds like wisdom, sounds like you're just being realistic, preparing for all possibilities, not getting your hopes up so you won't be disappointed. But what you're actually doing is praying in reverse. You're using the same mechanism of faith, imagination, plus emotion, plus words, but you're aiming it at disaster instead of breakthrough. You're running a mental simulation of failure so many times that your spirit starts preparing for failure instead of breakthrough. And here's the mechanism. When you say, what if it doesn't work out? Your brain immediately starts generating images of how it could fall apart. You see yourself disappointed, embarrassed, broke, alone. And every time you visualize that, you're laying down neural pathways that make that outcome feel familiar. And your subconscious always moves toward what feels familiar. But it's worse than that. Because when you speak those words, when you give them sound and vibration, you're not just programming yourself. You're broadcasting a call signal to every demonic force assigned to make sure it doesn't work out. You're literally inviting interference. Now these are just 3 out of 7. And I'm telling you right now, phrases 4 through 7 are even more deadly because they're the ones you say to yourself when no one else is listening. They're the ones you whisper in your mind at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. They're the phrases that feel like truth because you've been saying them for so long. And phrase number 4, the one I'm about to reveal in the next part, is the single most dangerous sentence a chosen one can speak, because it doesn't just attack, it invites it, it justifies it, it makes the enemy's job legal. Toxic phrase number 4, I'm not good enough. And before you say you don't say this, listen to the variations. I'm not smart enough, not anointed enough, not qualified enough, not healed enough, not ready enough. You've said at least one of those in the past week. Here's the raw truth you won't admit out loud. When you say, I'm not good enough, what you're really saying is, God made a mistake choosing me. You're questioning his judgment. You're saying the creator of the universe got it wrong when he called you. And here's the mechanism. Every time you speak those words, you create a legal opening for the enemy to agree with you. Because in the spiritual realm, there are laws. And one of those laws is this: whatever you decree about yourself, creation has to honor. When you decree, I'm not good enough, you just gave the enemy a signed permission slip to treat you like you're not good enough. Watch what happens in your body. Your head drops, your eyes look down, your voice gets quieter. That's not humility. That's shame manifesting physically. And shame is a frequency that attracts humiliation like blood attracts sharks. Toxic phrase number 5. Maybe I heard God wrong. Now this one feels spiritual, feels like you're being humble, testing everything, not being presumptuous. But here's what you're actually doing. You're invalidating every God encounter you've ever had. Every time he spoke to you in prayer, in worship, in that still small voice at 3 a.m., you're saying, maybe that wasn't really him. And when you voice that doubt, when you give it sound, you're not just questioning yourself, you're calling God a liar. Because if he spoke and you say he didn't, one of you is wrong, and you just voted that it's him. The raw thought behind this phrase is even darker. What if I've been delusional this whole time? What if I'm just talking to myself? What if there's no calling, no assignment, no destiny, and I've wasted years chasing a fantasy? That's the real fear. And every time you say, maybe I heard God wrong, you're feeding that fear until it becomes a belief. Toxic phrase number 6, and this one is insidious. I just need to vent. Sounds harmless, right? Sounds like healthy emotional processing, just getting it off my chest, just being honest with a trusted friend. But here's what's really happening. Every time you vent, you're rehearsing the problem. You're taking the offense, the disappointment, the betrayal, and you're running it through your mind and mouth over and over again until it's not just a memory anymore. It's a meditation. You're worshipping the problem. And here's the dark truth. When you vent to someone, you're not releasing the burden. You're transferring the frequency. Now they're carrying it too. Now they're broadcasting the same signal. You just made them an antenna for your complaint. Toxic phrase number 7. And this is the one that makes the enemy's attack legal. Why is this happening to me? Sounds like a valid question. Sounds like you're just trying to understand your trial. But listen to the spirit behind those words. You're not asking for understanding. You're accusing God of injustice. You're saying, I don't deserve this. I've been faithful, and this is what I get. The unspoken end of that sentence is, you're not fair, God. And the moment you voice that, you step out of divine protection and into the courtroom. Because now you're not a covenant child being refined. You're a defendant claiming God violated his contract. And the enemy is the prosecutor who's been waiting for you to say that. In James chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, it says, "The tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark." The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. Now, most people read that as a warning about gossip. But here's the context you're missing. James was writing to scattered believers under persecution. Their loose talk was getting them killed, literally. The enemy was listening to their conversations, tracking who was a Christian based on what they said, and hunting them down. This isn't a metaphor about hurt feelings. This is a survival instruction. Your words can get you killed in the spirit realm, just like they got early Christians killed in the physical realm. Now, here's the solution. It's called the replacement protocol. And it's simple, but you have to do it. When you feel the urge to say one of those 7 phrases, here's what happens instead. Step 1, notice the pull. You'll feel it in your throat, like words are trying to force their way out. Don't fight it, just notice it. Step 2, pause. In your mind, not out loud, I want you to imagine a dial inside your throat. Right now, it's set to broadcast. In your imagination, turn that dial counterclockwise until you hear a click. That click is you switching to internal only. Step 3, redirect. Take that sentence you were about to say and turn it into a silent prayer. Not out loud, just in your mind. God, I feel like I can't afford this. You know my bank account. I'm trusting you. Step 4. If you absolutely need to process it, don't speak it. Write it in a journal that no one else will read, because writing moves it out of your spirit without broadcasting it. Now, if you just did that mental exercise, if you visualize that dial turning, comment the word dial right now, because that's not just engagement, that's you activating the protocol in the atmosphere. Here's what you need to understand. This isn't about being silent forever. This is about the next 40 days. And there are 3 levels to this silence that most people never understand. Level 1 is external silence. This is the most obvious. Stop speaking the toxic phrases to other people. No complaining to your friends. No venting to your family. No announcing your plans to your co-workers. This level alone will cut off 70% of the enemy's intel. Level 2 is internal dialogue shift. This is harder because most people don't even realize they're doing it. It's the conversation you have with yourself all day long. The running commentary in your head. I can't believe this is happening again. Why does nothing ever work out for me? That internal dialogue is still broadcasting. You have to catch it and redirect it to prayer instead of worry. Level 3 is frequency elevation. This is where decree power lives. It's when you learn to communicate with God on a frequency so high that it bypasses human language altogether. The Bible calls it groaning that cannot be uttered. It's your spirit speaking directly to God's spirit without words. In Exodus 14 verse 14, it says, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." In Hebrew, be still is the word karash. And karash doesn't mean relax. It doesn't mean take a deep breath. It means to be silent, to plow through, to stop talking, and let God work. Moses wasn't telling the Israelites to calm down while the Egyptian army chased them. He was telling them, shut up and watch God move. Because their panic, their complaints, their what are we gonna do, was interfering with the miracle that was trying to manifest. Your words are interfering with your miracle right now. And God is saying, Karash, plow through in silence and watch me work. Now here's what you need to know. The moment you commit to this 40-day silence, the enemy goes into overdrive, because he knows what's about to happen. He knows that silence builds authority, and he will do everything in his power to make you break that silence before the 40 days are up. Let me show you the first 3 forms of attack you're going to face. I'm going to give you all 7 eventually, but these first 3 happen in the first 2 weeks, and if you're not ready for them, you'll break protocol before you even realize what happened. Attack form number 1 is the isolation attack. Within 72 hours of going silent, your phone will go quiet. Nobody texting, nobody calling. The people who used to reach out daily will suddenly go radio silent, and it's not a coincidence. The enemy just pulled their strings to make you feel abandoned so that you'll break your silence out of loneliness. You'll reach out. You'll post something on social media. You'll call someone just to feel connected, and the moment you do, you just leaked coordinates again. The counter strategy is this. Recognize the silence as confirmation. If the enemy is trying this hard to make you talk, it means your silence is working. This isolation is temporary, and it's a test. Attack form number 2 is urgency manipulation. Around day 7 to 10, an opportunity will show up with a deadline, a chance to make money, a potential relationship, a door that looks like it's from God. But there's a catch. You have to act now. You have to explain yourself. You have to announce what you're doing. Here's how you know it's a trap. Anything that requires you to break the protocol before the 40 days are up is not from God. Real divine doors don't have expiration dates. They wait for you to complete the process. Attack form number 3 is the shame bomb. Around day 12 to 14, someone's going to ask you what's wrong. Why are you being so distant? Are you mad at me? Did I do something? And they'll say it with hurt in their voice, and you're going to feel guilty. Here's the test. Can you love them silently? Can you smile, hug them if you're in person, but not explain yourself? Because the moment you start justifying your silence, you're talking again, and talking breaks the seal. In 1 Peter 5 verse 8, it says, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour." Notice it says, prowls. It doesn't say he attacks everyone. He looks for someone. And who does he look for? The ones who are distracted. The ones who are talking when they should be listening. You're in enemy territory right now, chosen one. And the only way you make it through is if you move in stealth mode. No sound, no signal, pure silence. Now I know you're thinking, this sounds impossible. How am I supposed to not talk for 40 days? I have a job. I have a family. I have responsibilities, and I'm going to answer that. But first, I need to show you proof that this actually works. Because everything I've told you so far is truth. But truth without testimony is just theory. And you need to see someone who actually did this and what happened on the other side. Let me tell you about Sarah. Her name is Sarah, 34 years old, single mother of 2, $40,000 in debt, creditors calling every day, working 2 jobs, and still couldn't make rent. She tried everything for 7 years. Positive affirmations, vision boards, every manifestation technique on YouTube. Nothing worked. In fact, it got worse. Then she heard about the 40-day silence protocol, And she thought the same thing you're thinking right now. How is not talking going to pay my bills? But here's what she told me later. She said, I had tried everything else. What did I have to lose? Day 1. It's 6:17 inches the morning. Sarah is sitting in her car in the parking lot of her first job. She just got off the phone with another bill collector, and the urge to call her sister and vent is overwhelming. Her fingers are already dialing. But then she remembers. Radio silence. She stops, puts the phone down, and in her mind, not out loud, she says, God, I want to scream right now. You know what just happened. I'm trusting you to fight this battle. That was her first redirect. Her first time switching from broadcast to internal. Nothing happened that day, or the next, or the next. For 12 days, nothing changed externally, but internally, something was shifting. She told me it felt like a weight was lifting off her throat. Like something that had been choking her for years was slowly releasing. Day 13. The isolation attack hit. Her best friend, the one who always checked in, went silent. Her mum stopped calling. Even her kids seemed quieter than usual. And the loneliness was crushing. She almost broke. Almost texted her friend, just checking in. You okay? But something stopped her. A knowing deep in her spirit that said, this is the test. Stay silent. She stayed silent. Day 18. The urgency manipulation came. A job opportunity. More money than she'd ever made. But the interview was tomorrow, and she had to call them today to confirm. She had to explain her situation. She had to talk, but here's what she did instead. In her mind, she prayed, God, if this is from you, it will still be there after 40 days. If it's not, then it's a trap. And she didn't call. The opportunity disappeared. And for 3 days, she tortured herself. Did I just turn down my breakthrough? Did I miss it? But she held the silence. Day 38. 5:42 inches the morning. Sarah wakes up from a dream. In the dream, she saw a check with her name on it, and she heard a voice say, it's already written. You just haven't seen it yet. She gets out of bed, checks her email, out of habit, and there's a message from a company she applied to 6 months ago, a company she had completely forgotten about. They want to hire her. The salary is exactly double what she's making at both her current jobs combined. But here's the wild part. The email was sent at 3 a.m. Right when she was having the dream. She starts immediately. And within 2 weeks, the income is flowing. But she doesn't break the silence yet, because she's on day 38. She has 2 days left. Day 41, 6 a.m. Sarah is back in her car. Same parking lot where this started 40 days ago, but everything feels different. The air feels thicker, like the atmosphere is charged. She opens her mouth to speak for the first time in 40 days, and the first words out of her mouth are not about her needs, not about her debt, not about her struggle. The first words are, God, you are faithful. That's it. That's her first decree, an acknowledgement of his character, not a request for her breakthrough. And then she waits 24 hours like the protocol says. Day 42, she speaks her second decree, and this time she speaks about her finances. But she doesn't ask, she decrees, I am debt-free, not I will be. I am. Day 55, 2 weeks after her first decree, Sarah gets a phone call, an inheritance she didn't know existed. A distant relative passed away and left her exactly $40,000, the exact amount of her debt. Now, let me tell you what really happened here, because most people would say, See, she stopped complaining, and God blessed her. She had faith, and it worked out. But that's not the full truth. Here's the revelation. Sarah's breakthrough didn't come because she stopped complaining. It came because the enemy lost tracking on her. For 40 days, she was invisible on his radar. He couldn't locate her coordinates. He couldn't target her with interference. And the moment he lost her signal, the breakthrough that was already written for her was able to manifest without enemy blockage. The job offer wasn't new, it was delayed. The inheritance wasn't a surprise to God, it was blocked. And the moment she went radio silent, the blocks collapsed. You see, the enemy doesn't create bad things in your life. He just blocks the good things that are already assigned to you. And he uses your words to know where to position those blocks. When you broadcast, "I can't afford this," he puts a financial block there. When you broadcast, "This never works out," he puts a failure block there. But when you go silent, he's blind, he's deaf, he's guessing. And while he's guessing, God is moving. Now, here's what Sarah learned during those 40 days that changed everything. She learned how to operate on 3 frequencies. And this is what I need to teach you right now, because this is the key to making it through your 40 days. Most people only know 1 frequency. External broadcast, talking to people, posting on social media, venting to friends. That's frequency 1. And frequency 1 is completely compromised. The enemy has full access to everything transmitted there. Frequency 2 is internal dialogue, the conversation you have with yourself in your mind all day. This is better than frequency 1 because other people can't hear it. But here's the problem. The enemy can still hear it. Because thoughts that loop in your mind create an energetic signature that spiritual entities can detect. Frequency 3 is where decree power lives, and most people don't even know it exists. Frequency 3 is when you communicate with God at a level so deep that it bypasses language altogether. In Romans chapter 8 verse 26, it says, "The Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans." In the original Greek, wordless groans is stenagmos alaletos. Stenagmos means a groan or sigh. Alaletos means inexpressible, something that cannot be put into words. Paul is describing frequency 3. It's a communication so deep, so intimate with God that it doesn't need vocabulary. It's your spirit speaking directly to his spirit. No enemy can intercept it because there are no words to intercept, no sound to track, pure spiritual transmission. Here's how you shift frequencies. Right now, imagine your throat as a radio. Frequency 1 is like AM radio. Everyone with a receiver can pick up your signal. Frequency 2 is like FM, clearer, but still detectable by anyone with the right equipment. Frequency 3 is like a military encrypted channel. Only you and God have the decryption key. In your mind right now, visualize a dial in the center of your throat. You've been stuck on frequency 1 your whole life. The dial is turned all the way to the left, broadcast mode. Now, in your imagination, slowly turn that dial to the right. As you turn it, feel the vibration in your throat decreasing. Keep turning until you reach frequency 3. You'll know you're there when you can feel the communication, but there's no sound. If you just did that, if you just visualized turning that dial and you felt the shift, your spirit just learned something your mind doesn't fully understand yet. And what you're going to notice in the next 24 hours is that you'll catch yourself about to speak a complaint, and you'll feel that dial in your throat, and you'll know to switch frequencies before the words come out. Now, Psalm 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." But here's the context most people miss. This psalm was written during war. The city was surrounded, enemies at the gate. Everyone was panicking. And God said, "Be still." Not because the threat wasn't real, but because their panic was interfering with his strategy. Their noise was drowning out his instruction. He needed them to shut up so he could move. You're in a war right now, chosen one, and your words are the sound that's giving away your position. God needs you silent so he can ambush the enemy on your behalf. But here's what I haven't told you yet, and this is going to change everything you thought this was about. You think this 40-day silence is about learning to control your mouth. It's not. You think this is about discipline and obedience. It's bigger than that. What I'm about to tell you, very few chosen ones ever discover. Because most people complete the 40 days, get their breakthrough, and think they passed the test. They didn't just pass one test, chosen one. They passed three. 3 simultaneous tests happening at the same time on 3 different levels. And you didn't even know you were being tested on all 3. The silence test, the isolation test, and the authority test. And until you understand what these 3 tests really are, you won't understand why God is about to upgrade you from someone who can stay silent to someone whose words carry the weight of divine decree. Everything I've told you until now is true, but it's not complete. And what's coming in the next part is the revelation that separates those who just survive the 40 days from those who emerge as decree speakers. Because Sarah, she didn't just make it through 40 days of silence, she made it through the triple gauntlet. And on day 41, when she opened her mouth, her words didn't just express reality, they created it. That's what's waiting for you on the other side. But first, you have to understand exactly what God is doing in the silence. Think back with me for a moment. 6 months ago, maybe a year, there was a moment when everything fell apart. A relationship ended. A job was lost. A door slammed in your face. You remember that moment, don't you? You thought it was random. You thought it was just bad timing, bad luck, maybe even punishment from God. But it wasn't random, chosen one. That was the beginning of your testing. And you didn't even know you were being tested. Here's what God just showed me about your journey. Everything I've told you until now about the 40-day silence, the toxic phrases, the enemy tracking, all of that is true. But it's not complete, because you've been looking at this as one test. Can I keep my mouth shut for 40 days? But that's not what's really happening. God isn't testing your discipline. He's not measuring your willpower. He's testing whether you can handle 3 promotions at the same time. Let me show you what I mean. In Luke chapter 4, Jesus goes into the wilderness for 40 days, and the enemy tests him 3 times. First, turn stones to bread. That's the body test. Second, bow down and receive all kingdoms. That's the soul test. Third, throw yourself down and let angels catch you. That's the spirit test. 3 tests, same 40 days, happening simultaneously. And here's the pattern. Every chosen one who goes through a wilderness season, every person who enters the silence protocol, faces the same 3-dimensional testing. The first test is the silence test, and this is the most obvious one. It's the one you think is the whole thing. Can you shut your mouth? Can you stop broadcasting? Can you hold the protocol for 40 days without breaking? But here's what most people don't understand about this test. It's not just about discipline. It's about trust. Because when you go silent, you're saying, God, I trust you to speak for me. I trust you to defend me. I trust you to fight while I stay still. Every time you bite your tongue when you want to defend yourself, you pass a level. Every time you don't explain yourself when someone misunderstands you, you pass a level. Every time you keep a secret between you and God, instead of announcing it, you pass a level. The second test is the isolation test. And this one is brutal because it doesn't feel like a test. It feels like abandonment. Remember what happened to Sarah? Day 13. Everyone went silent. That wasn't coincidence. That was test number 2 activating. Here's what God is doing. He's removing human support systems to see if you can stand alone with Him. He's pulling back the voices you've been dependent on to see if you can hear His voice in the silence. And the raw truth? Some of those people who went silent aren't coming back because they were only in your life for season 1. And you're being promoted to season 2. And season 2 requires a different circle. The isolation test isn't about survival. It's about discovering that God plus you is enough. That you don't need the validation. You don't need the audience. You don't need people to understand. You can stand alone and be complete. But here's the test most people fail. The third test, the authority test. And this is the one that separates those who complete 40 days and go back to normal from those who emerge as decree speakers. The authority test is this. Can you handle promotion without pride? Can you receive power without corrupting it? Can you be elevated without forgetting where you came from? Because here's what's waiting on day 41. When you open your mouth after 40 days of proven silence, your words don't function the same way anymore. They're not just words. They're decrees. They carry weight. They shift atmospheres. They create realities. But that kind of power in the wrong hands destroys people. That's why God tests you first. The silence isn't the goal. The silence is the qualification for the decree power. Now, let me show you what decree power actually is, because most people think it's just positive affirmations with more confidence. It's not. It's a completely different mechanism. In Job chapter 22 verse 28, it says, "You will also decree a thing, and it will be established for you." Now, in Hebrew, the word decree is gazar. And gazar doesn't mean to ask or to hope or to wish. Gazar means to cut, to divide, to decide with finality. When you decree something, you're not requesting it from God. You're not even believing for it. You're cutting reality into a new shape. You're taking your God-given authority and you're severing what was from what will be. But here's the key. You can't decree with authority you haven't earned. And you earn authority through silence, through isolation, through testing. Think about it. Moses spent 40 days on the mountain in silence before he came down with the law that shaped a nation. Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness in silence before he started a ministry that changed history. Every decree speaker in Scripture went through a silencing season first. Because decree power isn't about volume, it's about weight. And weight comes from compression. The 40 days of silence is God compressing your faith, your obedience, your trust into something so dense, so concentrated, that when you finally speak, the words don't just sound different, they function different. Here's the formula. Silence multiplied by time equals authority, and authority multiplied by obedience equals decree power. Sarah understood this instinctively. That's why, on day 41, her first words weren't about her. They were about God. She didn't decree her need. She decreed his character. And that is what unlocked the power. Because a decree isn't manipulation. It's not forcing God's hand. A decree is agreement with what God has already decided. It's you speaking from the same throne he's speaking from. It's you partnering with heaven to manifest on earth what's already established in the Spirit. But you can't speak from the throne until you've been qualified for the throne. And the qualification is silence under pressure, trust during isolation, humility when you could have defended yourself. The three tests aren't separate. They're happening at the same time. While you're passing the silence test by not complaining, you're also passing the isolation test by not reaching out. And you're also passing the authority test by not using the little power you have to manipulate your situation. Every day you hold the silence, you're advancing in all three tests simultaneously. And when you hit day 40, when you've completed the protocol, you don't just pass one exam, you pass 3. And you don't just graduate to the next level, you graduate to a whole different dimension of operation. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds impossible. How do I pass 3 tests I didn't even know I was taking? How do I know if I'm doing it right? And that's where Marcus comes in. Because I need to show you what it looks like when someone passes all 3 tests. What it sounds like when decree power activates. And what happens in the 72 hours after someone speaks their first real decree. Marcus completed his 40 days. Day 41, 6:47 inches the morning. He's standing on his balcony overlooking the city. And he speaks 7 words. Just 7. But those 7 words created a ripple in the spirit realm that manifested in the physical realm within 72 hours. Let me tell you what he said. But more importantly, let me show you how he knew he was ready to say it. Because there's a difference between speaking positive words and speaking a decree. And if you get this wrong, you'll think the protocol didn't work, when really, you just tried to decree before you earned the authority. Marcus is 41 years old, worked the same job for 17 years, same salary, same cubicle, applied for promotions 8 times, rejected every single time, not because he wasn't qualified. The manager just kept saying, "Not the right fit." For 17 years, Marcus complained to his wife, to his co-workers, to anyone who would listen, "Why am I stuck? Why does everyone else move up except me? I'm not good enough." The same toxic phrases we talked about earlier, he broadcasted them daily. Then he heard about the protocol, and, like Sarah, he thought it sounded insane, but he was desperate. So, he committed 40 days, complete radio silence about his job, his frustration, his career. Day 41, March 17th, 6:47 inches the morning. Marcus is standing on his balcony. The sun is just starting to rise. And for the first time in 40 days, he opens his mouth to speak, not to complain. 7 words, that's it. Here's what he said. God promotes. Man cannot block. Not a request, not a prayer. A decree. A statement of fact based on God's character. And here's the key. He didn't say, "God, please promote me." He decreed a truth about how God operates. Then he trusted that truth to manifest in his situation. 72 hours later, Marcus gets called into his manager's office, the same manager who rejected him 8 times. And Marcus is thinking, here we go again, another rejection, another excuse. But when he sits down, The manager says something shocking. Corporate just restructured. Your position is being eliminated, but there's a new role. Director level. Triple your current salary. And they specifically requested you. Marcus didn't apply. He didn't campaign. He didn't even know the position existed. But the moment he decreed, God promotes, man cannot block, something shifted in the unseen realm that manifested in boardrooms he'd never stepped foot in. Now, here's the revelation. Most people would say, see, he spoke positive words and got a positive result. That's the law of attraction. No, that's not what happened. Marcus's breakthrough didn't happen because he spoke better words. It happened because for 40 days he stopped speaking the words that were blocking it. The promotion was already assigned to him. It was written in his destiny years ago. But his daily complaints were creating interference that prevented the manifestation. Think of it like radio signals. If you're trying to receive a specific frequency, but you're broadcasting noise on the same channel, you jam your own signal. You block your own reception. Marcus wasn't creating a new reality with his decree. He was clearing the interference, so the reality that already existed could break through. In Mark chapter 11, verse 23, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them." Now notice, Jesus said this right after he cursed the fig tree. He didn't pray for it to wither. He decreed it. Then he taught the disciples the principle. But here's the context. Jesus had authority to decree because he had spent 30 years in obscurity first. Silence before authority. Hiddenness before power. That's the pattern. You can't skip the silence season and expect decree power. The 40 days isn't a shortcut. It's the requirement. Now let me give you the 7 rules that will carry you through. These are non-negotiable. Follow all 7 and you'll complete this. Break even 1 and you'll have to restart. And rule number 7 is the one 80% of people break on day 3 without even realizing it. The first rule is no verbal complaints external. This means you don't complain about anything to anyone for 40 days. Not about your job, not about your family, not about traffic, not about the weather, nothing. Now, I already hear the question, what if something legitimate goes wrong? What if I need to address a problem? Here's the answer. You can address issues without complaining about them. There's a difference between saying, we need to fix this leak, and saying, I can't believe this house is falling apart. Everything always breaks. One is a solution-focused statement. The other is a complaint broadcast. Learn the difference. Your spirit knows which is which. The second rule is no dream announcements. This is the hardest one for most people because we've been taught to share our vision, to declare our goals, to tell people what we're believing for. But for these 40 days, no. Your dreams stay between you and God, period. You don't post about the business you're starting. You don't tell your family about the relationship you're believing for. You don't announce the book you're writing. You work on it in silence and let the results do the announcing. The third rule is no asking for advice. Now, this doesn't mean you can't get professional help when needed. If you need a doctor, see a doctor. If you need a lawyer, see a lawyer. But what you don't do is call 5 friends asking what they think you should do about your situation. Why? Because when you ask for advice, you're broadcasting uncertainty. You're transmitting, I don't trust God's guidance, I need human consensus. And that signal attracts confusion. During these 40 days, you take your questions to God in silent prayer and you wait for His answer. no polling your circle. The fourth rule is no defending yourself. This is where the isolation test and the silence test overlap. Because during these 40 days, you will be misunderstood. You will be misjudged. And every fiber of your being will want to explain yourself, to set the record straight, to make sure they understand. Don't let God defend you. Let your silence speak louder than your words ever could. And watch how the people who misunderstood you either get it eventually or remove themselves from your life. Either way, you win. The fifth rule is no sharing test details. You're going through this 40-day protocol. You're being attacked, you're being tested, and you'll want to share the journey. You'll want to post about it. You'll want to tell someone, "Pray for me, I'm in the fight of my life." Resist that urge, because the moment you share the test, you give the enemy intel on which strategies are working. You show him your weak spots. You broadcast where you're vulnerable. Keep the test classified. God knows. You know. That's enough. Now, in Proverbs chapter 17, verse 28, it says, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues." And if you study Proverbs, you'll see this theme repeated. Proverbs 10:19. "Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues." Proverbs 13:3. "Those who guard their lips preserve their lives." Proverbs 21:23. "Those who guard their mouths and their tongues keep themselves from calamity." There's a pattern here, a formula, and here it is. Silence multiplied by time equals perceived wisdom, which attracts actual authority. People don't respect the loudest voice in the room. They respect the one who speaks last. And when you've been silent for 40 days, when you finally open your mouth, people lean in, because they know whatever you're about to say has weight. Now, if you're committing to these 5 rules, if you're saying yes in your spirit right now, comment the word committed, because that comment isn't just engagement, it's a covenant marker. It's you telling heaven, "I'm in, I'm doing this," and heaven is witnessing your commitment. Now, rules 6 and 7, I'm going to give you these, but I need you to understand that these are the ones most people violate without even knowing it. These are the subtle ones, the ones that feel innocent, but they break the entire seal. Rule number 6 is no breaking character. What does that mean? It means even if someone provokes you, even if they push you, even if they try to bait you into a reaction, you stay calm. You stay silent. You don't take the bait, because the enemy will use people you love to test whether you'll break protocol. They'll say something that hurts, something that's unfair, and your old self would have clapped back immediately. But your new self, the one being forged in this 40 days, doesn't react. You absorb the hit and stay silent. Rule number 7 is no early celebration. This is the killer, because around day 25 to 30, you're going to start seeing small wins, little signs that things are shifting, and you're going to want to share it. You're going to want to say, "It's working, look what God is doing." Don't, not yet, because early celebration is a trap. It's the enemy's way of getting you to open your mouth before the full manifestation. And when you announce it too early, you give him one more chance to interfere. Wait until day 41. Wait until the protocol is complete. Then celebrate. Then testify. But not 1 second before. Now, I know you're thinking, okay, I have the rules, but what am I going to face week by week? What does the actual timeline look like? When do the attacks intensify? When are the hardest days? And that's what I need to show you next. Because having rules without a roadmap is like having a map without knowing where the landmines are buried. You need to know exactly what week 2 feels like, what week 5 does to your mind, and why week 6 is when most people either finish strong or fall apart 3 days before the finish line. But before I give you that timeline, I need to warn you about something. I need to tell you about Jessica. Because Jessica made it to day 37, 3 days from completion, and she made one phone call, just one, and what happened next took her 2 years to recover from. Jessica is 29, single. Working in marketing, she'd been believing for a career breakthrough for 3 years, nothing. Then she committed to the 40 days. And for 37 days she held it perfectly. Not one complaint, not one announcement, not one broken rule. Day 37, Tuesday afternoon, 3:42 p.m. She's sitting in her car after a brutal meeting, and her best friend texts, "Hey, you okay? You've been so quiet lately. Are you mad at me?" And Jessica's heart breaks, because she's not mad. She just can't explain without breaking protocol. But the guilt is crushing. So she thinks it's just one call, just to reassure her, just to explain that she's fine, she's just going through something, she'll tell her about it later. She calls, and within 30 seconds she's venting about the meeting, about her boss, about how nothing ever changes. And the moment those words leave her mouth, she feels it. Something in the atmosphere shifts, like a door that was opening just slammed shut. That night, she gets an email. The promotion she'd been quietly believing for, given to someone else. The project she was working on, cancelled. And for the next 2 years, every door she touched closed. Now here's what you need to understand. Jessica's failure wasn't because she talked. It was because she talked at day 37, 3 days before completion. The enemy doesn't waste energy attacking someone on day 3 when they're motivated. He waits until day 37 when they're exhausted and their guard is down. In Judges chapter 16, verse 20, Samson wakes up after Delilah cuts his hair and thinks, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. Samson didn't lose his power in one dramatic moment. He lost it gradually through compromise, and when the final break came, he didn't even feel it until it was too late. That's the danger of breaking protocol near the end. You won't feel the loss immediately. The consequences come later, and by then, you have to start over. So let me give you the week-by-week roadmap so you know exactly what each phase feels like and when you're most vulnerable. Week 1 is the honeymoon. You're excited, you're motivated, you just learned about the protocol, and you're all in. This week is easy. The enemy isn't attacking yet because he thinks you'll quit on your own. Enjoy this week, but don't trust it. It's not the real test. Week 2 is the rebellion. This is when it gets hard. Around day 9 to 14, you're going to want to quit. Not because something bad happened, just because you're tired of biting your tongue. Tired of not explaining yourself. Tired of being silent. This is where 40% of people drop out. If you make it past day 14, you've survived the first major filter. Week 3 is the numbness. Days 15 to 21, you'll feel nothing. Not excited, not angry, just flat. This is actually a good sign. It means your emotions are stabilizing. It means you're adapting to operating on a different frequency. But it feels like nothing's working. That's the test. Can you keep going when you feel nothing? Week 4 is when you start seeing hints, small wins, little confirmations. Someone pays you a compliment, an unexpected check arrives, a door cracks open, and you'll think, it's working. This is your breakthrough. Not yet. These are just previews. The real breakthrough comes after day 40. Don't mistake the trailer for the movie. Week 5 is the trap, and this is where most people fail, because week 5 is when it gets easy again. You're in a rhythm. You've made it past the hard parts. You feel confident. And that confidence makes you careless. You think, I've got this. I can relax a little. And that's when you slip. That's when you break character without even noticing. In Matthew chapter 4 verse 11, it says, "Then the devil left him, and angels came and attended him." Notice, the angels came after the 40 days, not during. The reward, the breakthrough, the supernatural support, all of it comes post-testing, not mid-testing. Week 5 feels like you're done, but you're not. Week 6 is the final exam, days 35 to 40. This is when the enemy throws everything at you. Urgency, guilt, fake opportunities, provocation. He knows if you make it to day 41, it's over. So he goes all in during the last 5 days. This is where Jessica fell. This is where most people who make it this far stumble. The key to week 6 is recognizing that the intensity of the attack is proof you're about to win. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on people who aren't a threat. If he's hitting you hard in the final days, it's because he knows what's waiting for you on the other side. Now, if you're committing to complete all 6 weeks, if you're saying, I'm going to finish this no matter what week 5 feels like, comment your start date. Just the date you're beginning. Because when you write it publicly, you're creating accountability. And accountability is a weapon against the enemy's isolation tactics. But before we get to the final week strategy, I need to address something that nobody talks about. A fear that's hiding underneath all the other fears. And if we don't deal with it now, it'll sabotage you, even if you complete the 40 days. Here's the question you haven't asked out loud. What if I'm not actually afraid of failure? What if I'm afraid of success? Think about it. If you go through this protocol and it works, if you complete the 40 days and breakthrough actually happens, what changes? Everything. Your life, your circle, your identity. Right now, you have an excuse. You can blame your situation on bad luck, bad timing, other people, the economy, whatever. But if you do this and it works, you lose that excuse. You lose the safety of being stuck. There are 5 fears that come with blessing that nobody admits. The first is fear of visibility. Right now, you're hidden. You're under the radar. Nobody's watching you that closely. But when breakthrough comes, people notice. And attention feels dangerous when you've been in hiding for years. The second is fear of responsibility. Success doesn't just bring reward. It brings weight. New levels mean new obligations. And part of you is thinking, what if I can't handle what I've been asking for? The third is fear of loss, not losing what you don't have, losing what you do have, your current identity, the person you've been for the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. That person is familiar. Even if that person is stuck, at least you know them. But who are you on the other side of breakthrough? That person is a stranger. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 11, when God calls Moses to deliver Israel, Moses says, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" He's not asking for information. He's expressing fear. God just offered him the biggest promotion of his life, and his first response is, I'm not ready. I'm not qualified. And here's what's wild. God doesn't wait for Moses to feel ready. He doesn't give him a pep talk about believing in himself. He just says, I will be with you. That's it. The qualification isn't your readiness, it's His presence. You're not avoiding the 40 days because you don't think it'll work. You're avoiding it because you're terrified it will work. And then you'll have to become someone you've never been before. But here's the revelation. That fear, that what if, that's not disqualification, that's confirmation. Only people who are actually chosen feel that level of doubt before breakthrough. Imposters are confident. The real ones are terrified. If you're scared of the blessing, comment the number of the fear that's yours, just the number 1 through 5. Your honesty creates collective healing for everyone watching this. Now here's what happened to Jessica after the 2-year delay. She didn't give up. She started over, and the second time she made it all 40 days. And on day 41, when she finally opened her mouth, her decree was different, stronger. Because the 2-year delay wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The first time, she was going to get a promotion. The second time, she got her own company. The blessing that came after the second 40 days was bigger than what she would have received the first time. But she had to be ready for it. And the 2 years made her ready. So if you've tried this before and broke protocol, if you're on your second attempt, your third attempt, don't see it as failure. See it as leveling up. Every time you restart, you're stronger. Every time you try again, the prize gets bigger. Because God isn't measuring your perfection, He's measuring your persistence. Now we're heading into the most tactical part of this entire message. I'm about to give you the exact strategy for days 35 to 40. The final week. The enemy's 3-move endgame. And the counter strategies that will get you across the finish line. Then I'm going to show you the exact protocol for day 41. How to break the silence. What to say first, what not to say. And how to activate decree power without corrupting it. But before we go there, you need to understand something. The final 5 days aren't just harder, they're different. The enemy shifts tactics, and if you're not ready for it, you'll fall into traps you didn't even see coming. Days 35 to 40, the final stretch. This is when the enemy deploys his endgame. 3 moves, 3 specific attacks designed to break you right before the finish line. If you know them, you can counter them. If you don't, you'll fall on day 39 and have to start over. The first move is the fake emergency. Days 35 and 36, something will happen that feels urgent. A crisis with family, a sudden financial need, a situation that demands you speak up, explain yourself, take action right now or else. Here's the counter. Ask yourself one question. Can this wait 2 days? If the answer is yes, then it's a test, not a real emergency. Real emergencies don't have a 48-hour window. Fake ones do. The enemy is banking on your panic response. Don't give it to him. In Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 2 and 3, the enemy sends a message to Nehemiah 4 times. Come meet with us. Let's talk this out. Sounds reasonable, right? But Nehemiah sees through it. He replies, I am carrying on a great project and cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and go down to you? Nehemiah was on day 38 of rebuilding the wall. 3 days from completion. And the enemy tried 4 times to distract him with fake urgency. Same pattern you're facing. The counter is the same. I'm busy with God's work. Ask me on day 41. The second move is the guilt bomb. Days 37 and 38, someone you love will make you feel like you're abandoning them by staying silent. They'll say things like, "You've changed, you don't care about me anymore, I guess I'm not important to you," and it'll hurt. Here's the counter. Love them silently. In your mind, send them a blessing. Pray for them internally. But do not explain yourself. Because if you defend yourself, if you try to make them understand, you just broke protocol. God will handle their feelings. Your job is to finish. The third move is the early victory celebration. Days 39 and 40, you're going to feel so good. You made it. You're almost there. You'll see a small win and think, "This is it. I need to share this. I need to testify." Don't. Not yet. You're on the 5-yard line. Don't spike the ball before you cross into the end zone. The enemy is waiting for you to celebrate early so he can strip the ball before you score. Stay silent until 6 a.m. on day 41. Then you can celebrate. Now let me show you what happens on day 41. Because there's a specific way to break the silence. Get this wrong and you'll waste the authority you earned. Get it right and you activate decree power. Step 1. Thanksgiving in silence. When you wake up on day 41, before you speak out loud, spend 10 minutes in silent gratitude. Thank God in your mind for carrying you through. This calibrates your heart before your mouth opens. Step 2. Authority acknowledgement. Your first words out loud should be a declaration that you completed the protocol. Say it clearly. I completed 40 days of radio silence. I passed the test. This isn't pride. This is recognition of what God did through you. Step 3. First decree about God's character. Do not start with your needs. Start with His nature. Say something like, "God, you are faithful," or "God, you are my provider." Decree a truth about Him first. This establishes the foundation. Step 4. Wait 24 hours. Do not decree about your situation yet. Give it a full day. Let the first decree settle in the atmosphere. This is crucial. Premature second decrees dilute the power. Step 5. Second decree about your breakthrough. Now, 24 hours later, you can speak about your situation. But here's the key. Don't ask, don't beg, decree. Use present tense. I am debt-free. Doors are opening. My assignment is activated. Speak it as if it's already done. In Luke chapter 4 verse 14, it says, Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, not filled with the Spirit. In the power of the Spirit, same Holy Spirit he had when he went in. But 40 days later, he came out, operating at a different level. Filled became power. That's the upgrade waiting for you. Now, in your mind right now, I want you to visualize day 41. See yourself in the place you'll be, your room, your car, wherever you meet God. Picture yourself opening your mouth after 40 days. Feel the weight of your first words. That visualization just imprinted the protocol into your spirit. Your subconscious now knows the sequence. If you just did that, if you just saw yourself on day 41, comment day 41, because that comment is a prophetic marker. You're declaring your future before it happens. Now here's what you need to know. Everything I've given you in this message, the 7 toxic phrases, the replacement protocol, the 3 tests, the enemy's endgame, the day 41 ceremony, all of it is information. And information is powerful. But information without activation is just knowledge in your head. There's one more thing we need to do, and this is the most important part of this entire video. We need to seal this protocol into your spirit. We need to activate the 40-day assignment. We need to commission you as an invisible warrior operating on frequencies the enemy cannot track. What's about to happen is not a prayer in the traditional sense. This is an activation ceremony. After this, you cannot unknow what you've learned. After this, you're responsible for it. After this, heaven has a record that you were here, that you heard, that you agreed. So if you're ready, if you're committed to completing this 40-day protocol, no matter what week 5 feels like, no matter what the enemy throws at you, no matter who misunderstands you, then stay with me for the next few minutes. Because what I'm about to pray over you is going to seal the 7 rules into your spirit, bind the enemy tactics that would break you, and release the decree power that's waiting on day 41. This is it, chosen one. This is the moment everything changes. In your spirit right now, I want you to shift your posture, not physically, spiritually. Position yourself to receive, not just to listen. What's about to happen is not background noise. This is a sealing, an impartation, a commissioning. This is not a regular prayer. This is an activation ceremony. And after this, you are marked. Heaven has a record that you were here, that you heard, that you agreed. In the name of Yeshua, the Word who became flesh, the Lamb who roared as a lion, the silent one who became the decree speaker, I stand in the authority given to me as a messenger of heaven to activate what God has already prepared for you. Right now, as I speak these words, the atmosphere around you is shifting. Heaven's recording studio is active. Your frequency is being locked in. Portals that were closed are opening, and forces that were tracking you are losing signal. I acknowledge what you've been carrying. I see the nights you couldn't sleep because your own words kept echoing in your mind. The 3 a.m. panic when you realized you said too much to the wrong person. The shame of watching your announcement crumble before it even started. The exhaustion of defending yourself over and over to people who will never understand. I see every moment you bit your tongue when you wanted to scream. Every time you swallowed your pain instead of speaking it. Every conversation where you felt misunderstood and couldn't explain. Every door that slammed shut right after you announced your plan. Heaven saw it all. Every tear, every silent prayer, every moment you chose to trust God instead of your own voice. None of it was wasted. All of it was preparation for this moment. And now, in the authority of the Most High, I seal the divine lockdown protocol into your spirit. I seal the revelation that your mouth has been a GPS beacon broadcasting coordinates to forces hunting you. I seal the understanding of the 3 signal leaks, complaint signals, announcement signals, and doubt signals that have been betraying your position. I seal the 7 toxic phrases and the authority to silence them. I can't afford this, sealed and silenced. This always happens to me, sealed and silenced. What if it doesn't work out? Sealed and silenced. I'm not good enough. Sealed and silenced. Maybe I heard God wrong. Sealed and silenced. I just need to vent. Sealed and silenced. Why is this happening to me? Sealed and silenced. I seal the replacement protocol, the 4 steps that redirect your mouth from broadcast to internal transmission. Notice the pull. Turn the dial. Redirect to prayer. Write if needed. This protocol is now embedded in your nervous system. I seal the 3 levels of silence: external silence with people, internal dialogue, shift from worry to prayer, and frequency 3 transmission, the wordless groans that bypass enemy detection. You now have access to all 3 frequencies at will. I seal the revelation of the 3 simultaneous tests: the silence test that builds trust, the isolation test that proves God plus you is enough, and the authority test that qualifies you for decree power. You are now in all 3 tests, whether you feel it or not. I seal the 7 radio silence rules into your DNA. No verbal complaints, no dream announcements, no asking for advice, no defending yourself, no sharing test details, no breaking character, no early celebration. These are not suggestions. These are commands sealed by heaven. I seal the 6-week battlefield map into your awareness. Week 1, honeymoon. Week 2, rebellion. Week 3, numbness. Week 4, hints. Week 5, trap. Week 6, final exam. You will recognize each phase as it comes, and you will not be caught off guard. I seal the knowledge of the enemy's 3-move endgame: fake emergency on days 35 and 36, guilt bomb on days 37 and 38, early celebration temptation on days 39 and 40. You are now immune to these tactics because you see them coming. I seal the day 41 breaking ceremony: thanksgiving in silence, authority acknowledgement, first decree about God's character, wait 24 hours, second decree about your breakthrough. This sequence is now locked in your spirit. And now I bind every force that would break this protocol. I bind the spirit of loose lips that makes you speak before you think. I bind the demon of premature announcement that steals your seed before it grows. I bind the voice of validation seeking that makes you need human approval more than divine approval. I bind the enemy tactic of isolation manipulation that makes loneliness feel like abandonment. I bind the lie that says you owe people an explanation for your obedience. I bind the fear that God will forget you if you stay silent. I bind the trap of early celebration that opens your mouth before the manifestation is complete. Every chain that kept your mouth open when it should have been closed, I break it now in Jesus' name. Every agreement you made with complaint, with doubt, with premature revelation, I cancel it now by the blood of the Lamb. And now I declare over you what will happen in the next 40 days. I don't ask, I don't hope, I don't wish, I decree. Within the next 40 days, you will complete the radio silence protocol. Not might, not maybe, will. The grace to finish is released over you right now. Within 72 hours of your completion, you will speak your first decree, and it will carry supernatural weight. Your words on day 41 will not sound like your old voice. They will carry authority you've never experienced. Within 90 days of breaking silence, you will see the manifestation of what you've been believing for. The breakthrough that was blocked is now unblocked because you went dark on enemy radar. I declare right now that your enemies have lost tracking capability. The signal they were monitoring just went silent. They are searching for you, and they cannot find you. I declare you are entering stealth mode tonight. From this moment forward, you are invisible to forces that were targeting you. You move in the shadow of the Almighty, where no weapon formed against you can locate you. I declare that when you open your mouth on day 41, your words will not just be heard, they will be OBI'd by creation itself. Because you earned the authority through 40 days of proven silence. Now I'm going to ask you a question, and your answer matters. Will you carry the radio silence protocol for the next 40 days? Will you guard your mouth like a soldier guards classified intel? Will you trust God's protection even when you feel invisible? Will you complete this assignment no matter what week 5 feels like? No matter who misunderstands you? No matter what the enemy throws at you? If your answer is yes, if you are committed, then say it out loud right now. Don't just think it, speak it. Say the words, I will. Heaven just heard you. The angels just witnessed your commitment. The contract is signed in the courts of glory. The 40-day assignment is now active. The upgrade has begun. You are dismissed from the frequency the enemy can track. You are released from the obligation to explain yourself to people who don't have ears to hear. You are activated as a stealth operative in God's kingdom, moving in silence, operating in power, decreeing with authority. You are no longer who you were when you started this video. That person is gone. You are now a chosen one under divine lockdown protocol. Radio silent, enemy blind, heaven watching. Don't say amen yet. Don't say anything. Just sit in this silence for a moment. Let it sink into your bones. Let it seal into your spirit. Feel the weight of what just happened.